I'm Kevin Roberts, and welcome to Notable Neighbor. This is a series of interviews with some of Galveston's most interesting personalities. With us today is Victor Lang, the quintessential born-on-the-island character who's had the kind of life that most of us only dream about. He's been an Army interpreter, a congressional staffer, a college lecturer, and as a boy of 16, Victor played piano in a downtown bordello. So Victor, I thought we'd start with something less serious. Why don't you start us off telling us about what it's like to play piano in a brothel?
We went down to that house at 26th and Post Office, and we were admitted. The maid knew perfectly well we were underage.
And at this time, your mom and dad didn't know you were doing this.
Of course they didn't. My God, they'd have killed me. And no, well.
And you were 16, right?
Yes, I was. That's exactly right. And it was great fun, I can tell you, particularly if you were underage as I was. We went down to that house at 26th and Post Office. We were permitted to go in the bar room and buy drinks, not for ourselves, but for a couple of the girls who were downstairs, and soft drinks for us. And I looked over and I saw there was a beautiful piano in there, and I said to Miss Russell, Mary Russell, who was the madam and the owner, what kind of a piano is that? And she said, oh, it's a Steinway. And I said, ooh, I've never played one of those, may I? And she said, oh, be my guest. So I sat down and I started playing the St. Louis Blues. And the next thing I know, there's a glass on the piano filling up with $5 bills. Now, I'm 16 years old. I'm on a $5 a week allowance, and all of a sudden I'm seeing more money than I've ever seen before. Right. I enjoyed it. So what happened was, on Saturday nights after the double dates, my friend Edward Williamson and I would take the girls home and take me down there to tickle the ivories. And I'm walking around town with a wad of fives, more than you ever saw in your life. The only trouble is I can't buy anything with them to take home, because the first question I'd get would be, where did you get that?
And at this time, your mom and dad didn't know you were doing this.
Of course they didn't. My God, they'd have killed me. And no, well.
And you were 16, right?
Yes, I was. That's exactly right. Well, anyway, so things were going along fine, but one night there was a man in there. I don't know who he was. He was a friend of my parents, and he's the one dropped the dime on me and told him that I was down there playing the piano. So when I get home at about 1:45 in the morning, both my parents are in the living room waiting for me, and that was not a good sign. And my father let off, said, where have you been? I said, well, Edward and I and the girls, we were at the drive-in movie. Well, what after that? I said, well, we took the girls home, and I took Edward home, and now I'm home. You see me? He said, yeah, and I see a liar, too. I thought, uh-oh. And my mother got right in front of me, and she was very petite, but that didn't soften her blows. And she said, do you realize a friend of ours has called and told us our only son is playing piano in a brothel? Well, so that was the end of a budding musical career, though I've often said in later years it stood me in good stead in my Washington lobbying to have done that. Well, it taught me a lot of things.
Like what?
You guess.
Well, I can imagine. Yes.
So that was fun, and I'm glad I got to do it.
You were born in 1936.
That is correct.
So you were in the brothel in the early 50s, I would assume.
Oh, it did.
Now, all that got shut down. I believe you said they called it the Line, Post Office Street and all of that.
Well, because from 25th Street to about 29th on Post Office, there were around 32 houses. We counted them one time. And it was a declining cost and looks and every other thing as you went west.
And all that shut down in 57.
Yeah, we had a mayor who couldn't keep his mouth shut. Said Galveston is an open city and it always will be, and he owned a radio station, George Roy Clough. Well, the Attorney General didn't want to mess with us, but that was like waving a red flag. So he sent guys down here to work in pairs and get stuff from all over that was illegal, that proved they were selling drinks and this, that, and the other thing.
Of all your accomplishments, when you look back on it, what are you most proud of?
The fact that I was lucky enough to have a mother and father who lived long enough for me to know them as friends, not just parents. We had some great times together. They'd come to the East Coast to see me. We'd go out on the town and have a few and have dinner and do a little dancing. And I think I'm proud of the fact that I got to know them that way.
Yeah, that's important.
Now, as to anything that I did personally, I think I'm proudest of the fact that I had a varied career. I got to do a lot of things. And I think I was better off than if I had become a lawyer and sat here in some law library looking up cases. Right. I doubt I'd have lasted very long.
So you have very few regrets.
Very few. I'm grateful for the life I've had.